Teenagers today. When you hear people talk about teenagers, what do you hear them saying? What are teenagers like? Well, if you listen to most people, they are lazy, immature, amoral. That means they don't have morality or don't pay attention to it. They're interested only in parties, iPods, video games, and Facebook. They're ignorant, and they're irresponsible. Are you responsible? Let's look at that question today. Well, maybe it depends on what we mean by responsible. The dictionary defines it as reliable, able to be counted on, owing to qualities of conscientiousness and trustworthiness. And this is probably what folks mean when they say teens are irresponsible. But I want to focus today on another definition of responsible. It's also from the dictionary, and it says answerable or accountable as for something within one's power, control, or management. Are you responsible in this sense? Are you responsible for your actions? For your life? Maybe not. The courts may not hold you fully responsible for your actions until you're 18. Your parents may not hold you responsible. Society may say you are the product of your genes and your environment, and so you're not responsible for your actions. But consider this. Fast forward your life 20 years. Where will you be? What will your life be like? Will you be happy? What or who will determine the answers to these questions? Who will you blame if your life is a wreck? Who will be responsible if your circumstances are less than desirable? Who will be to blame if you are not the person you would like to be, morally, intellectually, physically, and vocationally? Mom and Dad? Society? Chance? God? You may be justified in blaming these people and circumstances, but what good will that do you? Bad things may have happened to you. They may be really bad things. And later in your life you may be justified in blaming them for your troubles. But what good will that do you? If you had the chance to change your future, to improve your life, to do something today that would lead to higher fulfillment tomorrow, would you do it? Then what are you waiting for? Whether you are technically responsible or not, your actions and decisions today will play a role in what your life looks like tomorrow, and what kind of person you are, and whether you find fulfillment. You have the power to change your life and your future. Your circumstances, past or present, may be hindrances, burdens, obstacles to be overcome, opportunities to find fulfillment, challenges to strengthen you. Your obstacles may be great, your hurts deep, your difficulties many. But even if you could only improve your life a little bit, wouldn't it be worth it? The only reasonable motivation for doing anything is to increase your own sense of fulfillment. How do we find fulfillment? Pleasure? Sex? food, fun. Sure, we can find fulfillment in all of these things, but it is often short-lived. There are things that bring sustained fulfillment, like love, compassion, honor, achievement, and responsibility. There is the satisfaction of a job well done, or an obstacle overcome. There is the fulfillment that comes from liking and being proud of who you have become, knowing you fulfilled your duty, helping others, improving yourself and your life. Can you influence your present and future level of fulfillment? You sure can. We need to take a long-range view of fulfillment. It is not reasonable to exchange a high level of long-range fulfillment for a little bit of fleeting fulfillment today. Let's look at two perspectives. First, there's the animal or the dog's perspective. The dog sees the meal right in front of him. He sees the meal that he wants right now. And that's all the dog cares about. The man, or the human's perspective, is that he can see the meal right in front of him, but he can also see the next meal, and the next meal, and the next meal, and the next meal. And he can ask himself, how can I ensure that I'm going to have meal after meal after meal after meal after meal? In other words, how can I make sure that my level of fulfillment is going to be high, not only right now at this instant, but in the future? You see, the dog and the animal's perspective is all they can see is what's right in front of their face, what's right now, and they will sacrifice what's best in the long run for that right now. Whereas the human has the ability to look into the long run and plan for the future, and sacrifice small things today to make sure that we'll have big things tomorrow. It may be fun to get drunk today, to have sex, to be lazy, to waste your time. But how will that affect your fulfillment tomorrow, or in 10 years? What if instead you did what you knew was right and best in the long run, and invested in the future, and worked towards long-term, big-time, high-payoff, long-lasting goals? Little choices you make today are choices between alternatives for tomorrow, choices between greater or lesser fulfillment, good and evil. They create habits, good or bad. They affect relationships for better or for worse. They mold our character, our ability, and our lives. Little choices you make today can affect your circumstances and your character and your fulfillment tomorrow. No one wakes up one day and decides to have a miserable life. It happens one little choice at a time. But you can wake up and decide to live for fulfillment. What kind of person do you want to be? What kind of life do you want to live? When you are lying on your deathbed, what kind of life do you want to look back on? Live it. Teenagers today are response-able in that they have the power to choose, to affect their own destinies and chart their own courses toward fulfillment. Begin today.